Yo, what's good with y'all, man? Welcome back to the channel, bro. It's Yooooooo, and today we're gonna be talking about some hoops. If you're new to the channel, stop acting brand new and subscribe to the channel, man. We get litty in this section. And if you ain't brand new, welcome back to the channel, man. Without further ado, let's get into this video, bro. We're gonna be talking about the opening night in the NBA last night, man. Finally, bro. It feels like we've been waiting years for this night to happen, man. And in the two games that happened last night, we had Philly against Boston and Los Angeles against Golden State. And today's video is gonna be everything we learned from those two games. Now, obviously, I understand it's one game, the sample size for how these teams may play throughout the rest of the season. Building chemistry is a lot to be determined, but again, this video is strictly about what we seen last night and what was the carryover from what we seen last season and the postseason from the Celtics at least, the Philly, and et cetera, feel me? But without taking too much of your time, when it comes to Philly, man, honestly, when it came to their offense, first off, James Harden was looking good. Not even the simple fact that he had 35 points last night, but he just looked a lot more aggressive on the offensive end. He's getting his ISO plays, burning defenders off the dribble, getting those step back threes we love to see, and playing within the pick and roll with Embiid, where they was very aggressive with those two getting their one-on-one actions. He was kicking it to dunkers in the dunker spot when he was driving. He got to the free throw line 12 times. I mean, man was like Houston Harden for real. Even though there is some concerns about how stagnant the offense was at times, I mean, at least defensively as a team, the Philly was still upholding what we expect from them. They were switching. PJ Tucker, D'Angelo Melton, the additions they made to the teams definitely did have their impact on the defensive end. Honestly, when it comes to the stagnation of their offense, we just got to expect them to at least gain some chemistry. Hopefully, there's more fluidity within the offense. I have high hopes for Tyrese Maxey this season. I honestly think he can be a most improved player candidate going into this season as well. Very solid at playing off the ball, especially playing off of Harden and Embiid whenever they got trapped or doubled. He was very effective in handoff actions with Embiid and just moving without the ball, having down screen set for him to get open on perimeter. He was attacking closeouts and just being aggressive, attacking the rim, and he just shot efficiently from the field. And I definitely do see like a 25 to 23 point season coming from him this year, despite the scoring burst we're seeing from Harden in the opening night. I don't think Harden's gonna be averaging 30 this year, even though his body looks basically the same as Houston Harden, to be honest with you, and he's playing a very similar style to that. A lot of isolation being called for him and Embiid in that game. And I know as much as Daryl Morey loves James Harden, I'll be honest with you, even though that style of play will win them some games in the regular season, in the playoffs, I do see that probably falling apart. Majority would agree that we all want Harden to be more aggressive on the offensive end in terms of shots being taken, but not if it's a detriment to the motion of the offense and getting other role players involved in the offense as well. We also want him to be the playmaker that he is great at being and continuing to use his gravity to get his role players some good looks. And if their conditioning can remain healthy, man, this Philly team is still looking like the team to come out of the East. I mean, along with Milwaukee, Boston, they lost, but shit, I mean, they do their thing. Now, when it comes to Boston, man, Tatum came out last night as if he just has something to prove. He had that block on Maxey after the first few possessions of the game, which turned shit up because then Embiid got a block like a little bit after that. That was pretty cool, pretty funny. Tatum was just really displaying the whole package. I mean, he shot extremely efficiently from the field, shooting 13 for 20. He had 12 boards. He was effective on the defensive end. And it doesn't fall short from his Robin and Jaylen Brown, man, who was another one who had an efficient shooting night and had 35 as well. They both didn't shoot too well from the three, but they was pretty solid in their shot chart all across the board. Derek White, despite only having only 2 points, his defense on the perimeter pretty felt. Tatum had 9 free throws, and that's another thing with his game, is just him being aggressive, attacking the basket, and just drawing a lot more contact because he definitely has the skill set and frame to do so. Both of them really just could not be guarded last night. That's as simple as I can put it. As for Brogdon's impact off the bench, he was a very good spark plug for them, also being a very solid initiator for their offense coming off of that bench. Grant Williams as well, while I doubt that he'll shoot 100% from the field for the rest of the season, he was just getting a lot of good looks from the perimeter that he was knocking down. He had a very solid pump fake on D'Anthony Melton, which kind of looked like the dude was about to tear his ankle. Outside of that, Grant really is good at moving without the ball and finding open areas on the floor to spot up. And Boston still looks great defensively, man. I'm not going to lie. Smart looks like Smart still on that end of the floor as well. Horford looked like he's regressed just a bit, but given the versatility of Horford's game, I'm pretty sure he'll find ways to be productive within the Celtics system as he continues to get older. Robert Williams is going to miss a decent chunk of the start of the season for them, so they will be missing their defensive star for a little bit. But that still doesn't take away from how good defensively Boston is without him regardless. And yeah, that was that Boston and Philly game. I mean, Philly, as long as that team continues to build more chemistry, I do think the offense will be more solid. I don't think they resort back to Harden doing ISO plays and just a two-man game between him and Embiid, even though those guys are probably the best one-on-one scorers we got in the game right now. But at the same time, you do want your other role players to eat and also get some shots up within the offense. Feel me? Not saying they were being ball hogs or anything, but it just was a lot of standing around coming from their role players. And as Harden and Embiid continue to get older, it's probably in their best interest to preserve their bodies long term for the playoffs by getting other role players involved more in the offense during the regular season. Next, we got that Golden State and Lakers game, and honestly, bro, that was the game I watched a lot more of. I did have to work earlier, so I didn't get to watch that Philly-Boston game entirely. Before I get into the whole things about that game, I do want to say to start off, bro, I know I made a whole video about that Draymond Green and Jordan Poole incident. Look, after seeing some preseason games and just this debut night from the Warriors, I heavily doubt that that fight is going to impact their on-the-court play at all throughout this season, like, at all. Or, like, even during the ring ceremony, I'm just thinking in my head, like, damn, yo, I know these Lakers niggas are pissed that they got to watch this with them missing the playoffs last season. But on a real note, it was pretty cool to see Wiggins receiving his ring during the ceremony. I ain't gonna lie. And just how the narrative behind how his game is, having the haunting title of being a bust just because he didn't live up to people's potential with the hype he had going into the NBA, to playing a pivotal part on a championship team and being one of the better two-way wings in this league. And he displayed that in this game. But when it comes to that Lakers-Golden State game, yeah, Golden State was pretty much dominating when it came to that second half, especially towards the like mid to end of the third quarter, where they just started to pick up momentum. And honestly, that game, the Lakers are just lucky that Golden State was missing some good looks to begin with, because that game definitely would have ended with a bigger blowout. Not only to mention, both teams were playing pretty sloppy basketball in the first quarter with a lot of turnovers coming from Golden State. I think they had like 6 or 7 after the first quarter. And they were just missing a lot of good looks. The Lakers as well, they were just missing a lot of perimeter shots. I'm not saying this is going to be the tone for the rest of the season, but when it came to LeBron and how he was looking, how he played, definitely was a bit tentative and very passive in that first half. And just had a very slow start to the game overall, as I think he was like 6 for 14 or 6 for 15 going into the halftime. But he was taking a lot of jump shots, I'll be real with you, especially in the first half. I mean, I only seen him really finish within the paint like 1 or 2 times in that first half, and the rest were really just like mid-rangers or three-pointers. On the night, he shot 3 of 10 from out there, but going into the half, I think he was like 1 for 6 or some shit like that. Like, he was not hitting. I had this one surprising dunk that came out of nowhere when he was in transition. Wiggins was trailing him, and he actually just like boomed it from a little past the free throw line. I thought this nigga was going to pass it because it was a 2-on-1 break, but he boomed it. And the way he boomed it, he was like, yeah, nah, nigga, I can still dunk. Don't get it fucked up, though. LeBron's still LeBron. He still is looking like one of the best players in the league. But I think it is very likely that LeBron will seek to attack the basket a lot less this season. We've seen a little glimpse of that last season as he took a career high in three-point attempts last year as well. So maybe we'll just continue to see that same volume of shooting this year. And hopefully he could be a lot more efficient with it. As for Curry and the rest of their roster, like I said in my last video, Wiseman gives them a dynamic that they have not had in a minute. His length was definitely felt out there on the floor, and even though he didn't start, he just looked very fundamentally sound. Like, he was pretty solid on his hedges, solid at rolling hard after setting a screen. He was 0 for 4 from the free throw line, but hopefully that isn't inconsistency for him. He had some pretty solid possessions where, you know, his rim protection would really be solid for this team, his transition offense, rebounding. Now on to their other young talent in Jonathan Kuminga, who did finish the night with only 3 rebounds and 0 for 3 on the field. Honestly, when I watch this dude play, bro, I know he only played like 13 minutes. He just reminds me a lot of like a baby Giannis, bro. Like, if he can develop anything into like close to the potential they have set out for him, especially with Draymond potentially leaving this roster soon, Kuminga could be a hell of a replacement for real, and he's still young. When it comes to Clay, man, I mean, yo, he had a moment where he hit like 3-4 shots in a row. I mean, Clay's back, bro. I'll keep it a rack with you. And Jordan Poole, bro, he's another one, man. Like, dude's dribbling package and offensive arsenal is so deep. And even though he is a negative on the defensive end, and even in this game, he wasn't that efficient from the field. He's completely mastering playing off the ball and on the ball, bro. And just his offense in general, coming off of screens, man, he's just going to be a force to be reckoned with within this offense of the Warriors. And when it comes to Russ, bro, it looks like Russ is the same old Russ. He did airball a 3 in the corner, I think in the second half, and that was pretty heartbreaking for me to see. It wasn't even his efficiency at turnovers that lost him this game. While I can admit he did have moments and possessions where he looked a bit indecisive in what he wanted to do, I can't lie, only him, AD, and LeBron were the only ones really giving some offensive output. Their role players were ass outside of Kendrick Nunn. And speaking of Kendrick Nunn, he had a solid performance out there, being able to provide some floor spacing for this team, which was very needed, and just being another shot creator off the bench for them. Lonnie Walker, despite only having like 5 points, I do think that he can be like a dark horse rotation piece on this team. I'm not saying the dude's gonna come in averaging 20 or anything like that, but mind you, the dude is young. He did play for San Antonio, so he has some type of fundamentally sound part of his game there for him. And I do think that, you know, he can just be another something within that offense, you feel me? He had 5 assists last night, and I think that if he can work on having more of a consistent jump shot and just playing off the ball, spotting up, and just being a creator for them as well, being able to take on some ball handling duties at times. I know it's hard with a team with LeBron and Russ on it, but he could potentially be something in their offense. When it comes to Pat Bev, I mean, he contributed everything that Lakers fans would expect coming from Pat Beverly. He was still an irritant, and he even had like a funny possession, I think, in the first quarter where he was like standing over Clay after fouling him or some shit. Pat Bev got in foul trouble very early in the game. I think he was sitting on like 4 fouls towards the end of the third quarter. And, I mean, obviously, he isn't going to be getting damn near fouled out of every game. AD was a very big impact for them on the defensive end. We seen in the first half, he was getting steals. He was protecting the rim for them. He was in passing lanes. And that was a solid positive for them as he finished the game with 4 steals. And he was a big factor in why the game was semi-close in that first half, because he was definitely keeping the momentum alive as Golden State kept trying to increase that lead. For the rest of the players I want to touch on before I wrap up this video, because it is getting pretty long. Wiggins and DiVincenzo, both forces on the perimeter defense. Wiggins coming in with that same two-way energy that he had last season, and was also aggressive on attacking the glass, even though he only had 6 boards. He also had a really solid block on Russ, which was a weak-ass layup anyways. We're not gonna talk about that too much. DiVincenzo also was a very solid perimeter defender for them. And he's just gonna be a very versatile defender to be guarding other guards around the league. Whether they're bigger guards like Ben Simmons or James Harden, or guards who aren't conventionally only 6 foot. And even down to the smaller guards, DiVincenzo will be a very effective defender on them. Let's just say that. Curry had a great night, man. He finished the night with 33 points. And surprisingly, his damage wasn't even only being done from the 3-point line. He shot 9 free throws in the game. And he also was very effective in the passing lanes as he finished the game with 4 steals. And as a whole, the Warriors were just baking the Lakers on like backdoor cuts. So Curry was actually getting a decent amount of finishing at the basket and displaying some nice little arsenal within the mid-range game, no lie. With that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like down below. Like I said earlier, man, let me know what you guys thought about the debut night of the NBA. Am I going too far by saying LeBron looks a step slower? I don't think so. It's fact. I say that as if the man didn't have damn near a 30-point triple-double. But you can correct me down in the comments below with anything you agree or disagree with me on. And yeah, man, I'ma holla at y'all, man. Y'all be easy, and I'm excited for the games that's gonna be on today, man. I might make a part 2.